Hello and welcome to the tutorial on installing the Android Application Development Toolkit on Ubuntu 11.10. This would probably work for most Linux versions, but it is primarily geared towards Ubuntu. I highly recommend, if you don't have Linux installed, I actually highly recommend Ubuntu. It seems to be pretty good so far. I've loaded in a Parallels desktop and I'm running the Android development kit in it, and it runs faster than on Windows or on a Mac as well. But you need to have access to a Linux system in order to work in this development environment. If you don't have access to a system, you're thinking about installing one, Ubuntu is the one that I recommend, and here's the URL up here on the top. You want to go to ubuntu.com/downloads, download. Actually, you can pause the video, write that down, put it into your web browser, bring it up. What you're going to do is download the current version, the latest version, and as of this video is being made on December 10th, I believe, or 9th or something, 8th. So I don't remember what the date is today. But in any case, actually I can find the date out. It is the 9th today. So as of that particular date, this is the most current version. You want to start the download by clicking on this button here. And what you're going to be downloading is an ISO file. And you take the ISO file and you burn it to a CD-ROM. It does not require a DVD. You can burn it to a CD, which is what I did. And these are the steps that I've gone through to install Ubuntu. So download this, burn it to a burn it to a CD-ROM. No DVD required. Reboot your computer or stick the CD in a computer in which you want to install Ubuntu on it, or load it in a Parallels desktop window like I've done, and you're set in terms of the install. It's pretty easy install. There's nothing really to decide on. It just kind of runs itself. So get your Ubuntu installed, and when you have it installed, I have it in a Parallels desktop because this is a MacBook Pro and I'm running Parallels desktop software. It's a virtual machine emulator. I've got Windows, now I've got Ubuntu loaded on this so that I can demo a bunch of stuff to you. I like the Unify. I think they call it the Unify interface now versus the Chrome. Well, it looks like a variation of Chrome actually, but it's not bad. It has everything you could possibly imagine, and it's kind of stripped down, kind of a minimalist. In fact, I kind of like this better than the Mac, actually, because it runs faster, and it just seems like it's easier to get to what I need. It's more customizable, I should say, as an operating system. So that's what it looks like, and so what we're going to do is run through the steps and so you can get your development system installed. And the first thing you're going to need to do is download and install Java. There's 3 components that we're going to need. We're going to need the Java runtime environment plus the Java SDK or JDK. We're going to need we're going to need to install Eclipse, and then we're going to install the Android application development environment from Eclipse. I'm going to show you how this is done. So it's actually kind of a simple, very simple install. So one of the things about Ubuntu 11.10 is that it no longer has an official package for the Sun Oracle JDK. So the package is no longer officially available. So it is available in other packages. So you can change your apt-get to essentially include the repository that's going to have the Sun Java. When you do it this way, you're installing version 6. You could do it the other way. Go to the Sun site, and if you're going to go to the Sun site, what you're going to do is download the Java version for Linux. And let's just take a look at that real quick so you know what I'm talking about. Thought I had a bookmark, but I don't. So I'm just going to say download Java JDK. There we go. If I go to the Java site, SE download site, I'll see an option to download it for the well, because I'm on a MacBook, it's probably giving me the Mac options, but there is an option to download it for in fact, if I go into here, there's an option to download it for Linux. So I'm going to actually go in here instead. So I'm going into my Ubuntu emulator, and I saved the site over here, it looks like. So if I go to the JDK site, and all you have to do is do the same thing I just did a few minutes ago. Just run a simple Java search, and what you're looking at, just run it on, download Java, and accept the license agreement here, and what you're going to end up doing is downloading. I'd recommend downloading the SDK 6 U25 version, the bin file. If you download the bin file, what ends up happening is you have to take the bin file, change it to an this is an executable file, by the way. You would change mod to add +X to make it executable, and then you would run the file, and then it would install Java for you. But then you have to go edit your path, and depending upon your startup script, it's a little bit more manual intensive to do it that way. So the approach that I'm going to show you is a little bit more simpler. It's using the apt-get in a terminal window, and what we're going to do is just basically add the package that has the Sun Java in it, and then we're going to run through the install. Which is really easy, actually. It's much easier than doing it the manual way. But the problem is you're getting 6. So when you download this, you're getting SDK. What you're installing is the SDK 6. So if you want to install the 7, when the 7 is available, then you have to type in 7. Right now, I would actually just do 6 because it's pretty stable, and I know it works with the Android tools, and I know you won't have any problems with it. So the option you have is to install the package with a PPA as follows. And what I'm going to do is run through these instructions for you. So we're going to open up a terminal prompt, and then we're going to type all this stuff in. I've actually typed it in already on my computer, so we're going to end up, let me move this down here, make this so I can see the instructions here. And I'm going to probably come up with some messages that says, oh, it's already added. But I just want to make sure this works. So you open up a terminal prompt. If you can't find the terminal prompt, go into the applications or go into the search and type in terminal, and you'll find a terminal prompt. You should be able to find one if you're doing this install. So sudo add apt/repository. It's not going to add it to me. It's not going to add it twice for me because I've already got it added. But let's see if I spell right. Repository. There we go. PPA for Roberto.java. Oh, I have to type in my password. There we go. Now it's going to go through and it's going to give us, I'm running through this so you can see what the messages are supposed to look like. So it says you're about to add the PPA to your system. Okay, and it's going to be in another language here too. It's for the latest version of Java. Yes, yes, yes. This is just another archive that's out there. So if you press enter, it's going to continue. If you press Control-C, you're going to cancel it. I'm going to press enter because I want to. And then it's going to go through, and it's probably going to tell me it's already there. And I just added it again, so no problem. No change. Requesting. All right, so it looks like it creates a certificate key for access. Or something of that nature, but in any case, you should get a bunch of stuff like this that appears on the screen, and it should, let me make this a little bigger so you can actually see what this is. I think that's going to be big enough. And let me move this up a little bit. So I'm typing at the bottom of the screen here, so you can see what I'm typing. So now we're going to update. So we're going to go sudo, type in sudo, look at the bottom of the screen where I'm typing, apt.get update. So it's going to go out there and it's going to update all of the packages. And if you're not familiar with sudo, that's going to give me root privileges. And so I'm going to have to add the, I'm going to have to type in the admin password when I try to make a significant change to the system. So now we've updated the packages, and because we've updated the packages, now we're just going to get and install Java. So this is how easy it is actually. Just type in sudo space apt/get install sun-java 6-jdk, and again I'm typing it at the bottom of my screen here so you can see it. I kind of did that so I could read the top of the screen on my Word file out there. So it's already installed on my system, so it's going to say reading state information done. It's going to tell me that it's already the newest version. So yours is going to pop up with a screen to say okay to sign a license, acceptance, do you agree to the terms of this? You're going to have maybe another prompt that says we're done. There's no configuration changes. It's just press OK on all of the prompts that you actually get, and then after pressing OK on the prompts, it'll continue, and you'll get to a point where it'll just stop, and then you'll be back at the terminal prompt. So you want to get to that particular point. And then we're going to, basically, that's the JDK. I'm going to move this way. This is on the bottom now, actually. If we want to install the JRE, which is not a bad idea, or the Java plugin, along with the JDK, you're going to use the following. And let's test this out as well. In fact, this is, oops, let's see, this will go down a little bit longer. There we go. Put the window on the top. So what I'm going to be typing in is this down here at the bottom of the screen. And let me type this in. So I'm going to type in sudo space apt.get install. There's no harm done if I already have it installed. This is just going to make sure that I do. If I have it installed, it's going to tell me, it's already installed. So, considering the fact that I've already installed Sun Java 6 JDK, I could have typed all this stuff in originally instead of doing them in, instead of just typing that other one in to install up here, instead of just to install the Java JDK, which is what I just did here. Actually, don't even have to put that in there, and I'll take that out. Otherwise, it's just going to essentially try to download it again. It's already installed, so it's not really that big of a problem. So Java, let's say I want the 6/JRE and sun-java 6. Look at me, the plugin, and I'm going to do this font to Java 6. Fonts, and I'm going to press return. All this stuff has already been installed, so it's going to tell me Java Fonts is already the newest version, JRE is always the newest version, the plugin is already the newest version. One of the other reasons why you kind of want to repeat it, especially if you know you have Java installed, is it might actually update it to the 6 if you have something previous to the 6. So it's not a bad idea to at least check to see if you're current. So the other thing that I'm going to do here is test it to make sure that the Java is installed correctly. And the way I can do that is essentially typing in Java C space minus version. And what should happen now is I should get the version that comes back. And so I've got Java version, actually I have a more current version than what was up on the website for the download, because the download I believe was 2.5. But I have 1.6.0_26. And I might be wrong, but I think I remember vaguely that it was 2.5. But no big deal. That version works. And then I can make sure that I have the Java runtime environment by typing in Java version. And it's going to tell me what version. And so I've got the Java version 1.6.0.26, and it's the SE runtime environment build in Java Hotspot client. Okay. So it looks like Java is installed correctly. So that's the first step in the install, is to make sure you've got Java installed correctly. So now I'm going to exit out of this terminal prompt and go back to my desktop, and let's take another look at the instructions. I made it bigger, it looks like. So open up a terminal prompt and type in this information here. If you're having problems, stop at this stage, pause the video, and go through this and install. Make sure you have Java installed correctly. And then we've already done this step. I actually kind of talked ahead on it a little bit. I installed the plugins and the fonts, and now we've tested it already. We tested it to see if Java is installed correctly. So we typed in Java C, and we just typed in Java. We did the dash version. If you don't want to do the dash version, don't worry about it. You just want to make sure something happens, you don't get a bad command kind of error message that comes up. So that was step number 1 was installing Java. Step number 2 is testing Java. Step number 3, we need to get Eclipse. And Eclipse is kind of an interesting animal. We can install it with apt-get, or we can install it, and you've already seen the apt-get. If you want to do it that way, just go apt-get install Eclipse, essentially, and you're going to get the Eclipse from that repository. Or we could do it the easy way, and I kind of want to show you the easy way because I want to show you some of the other things that Ubuntu supports in terms of Java, and that easy way is to go into the Ubuntu Software Center, search on Eclipse, and then select and install it. I'm also going to install the Eclipse Integrated Development Environment tools that come with it. And then we can open the dash home, search for Eclipse, and then drag the icon to the menu bar. Or there's another trick you can do as well, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So let me go back to my terminal here, and I'm going to make this a little smaller so I can at least fit the whole screen on the page at one time. There we go. We're on the page at one time. That's good. If I go into my my fancy little desktop here, and I click on this guy here, what I'm going to see now is Ubuntu Software Center. And this is kind of like Snap It, if you're familiar with that. It's Ubuntu's new kind of interface to show you what's installed and have you install software automatically from the Ubuntu repositories. And Eclipse is there. And actually, as you can see right here, I've got it installed already. The icon is not going to appear on the desktop automatically, and I'll show you how to get it there. Actually, you can drag it over. I should say this is not the desktop. This is the menu bar, whatever you want to call it, unified menu bar kind of thing. If I open up the software, this is what I'm running. I'm in Ubuntu Software Center. This should be on the bar automatically after you've installed, if you've kept all the defaults from your Ubuntu install. If I type if I click on the installed icon here, I see everything that is installed, and it's all divided out into different groups. If I click on all software, if I go back to the main, doesn't really matter where I'm at. If I come up here on the search bar and I type in Eclipse, if I spell it right, Eclipse. Oh, I didn't install the extended one. You can see there's a green check mark here. If you click on it over here, yours is going to say install instead of remove. So if you're following along with the video right now and doing it while you're watching the video, then click on that install right now and install your Eclipse so that you can get it running. And this one over here, extendable tool platform for Java. I didn't install it. You don't need it, actually. I'm going to click on the more information so I can see what that's about. It's extendable platform, anything and yet nothing is particular. Foundation for constructing, packaging, integrating software development tools. You don't really need it. I didn't install it. I don't know what I need it for. So I guess I'm kind of a minimalist. The package provides the whole Eclipse SDK along with the Java development tools, the JDT, and the plugin development environment. Well, we don't need that, so I'm not going to bother with it. So click this arrow to go back. It'll take me back here. All you want to install is Eclipse. So once you've got Eclipse installed, I'm going to shut this window now. So pause the video, install Eclipse using this Update Manager. Or you can do the old-fashioned apt-get install Eclipse from your terminal prompt. And I don't know if this terminal prompt was actually out here on the menu bar, but let me show you something interesting. If when you run a program, and I'm going to go back up here to the dash home. If I click on the dash home, this is an easy way to find programs. If you're brand new to Ubuntu, this is the first time you've used it, I highly recommend it, but it's definitely easy to use. If I typed in Eclipse as an example right here, I've typed in E, and here's Eclipse right here. If I were to run Eclipse, it's going to show up over here. In fact, let me do this with the terminal. If I type in terminal, let's say you can't find terminal. Here's terminal. I've got some other options. If I click on terminal, it'll put it in the dock over here. If I want it to stay in the dock, I right mouse click on it and I say keep in launcher. I guess it's called a launcher, not a dock. So I'm right mouse clicking here. And see that check next to where it says keep in launcher? That's how it's staying over here after the program closes. So if I want it to stay over here, I just select that. So we're going to do the same thing with Eclipse, or we can drag Eclipse and drop it in. So let's start Eclipse actually. So I can just click on this one right now, but what you're going to do is come over here and go Eclipse, and you're going to double click on it, and it's going to open up. And my version of it is Indigo, and I installed it yesterday actually, so it's fairly brand new in terms of the install. So I've got my Eclipse Indigo going on here, And lo and behold, eventually, it takes a few minutes when it loads up. Not too long. It's written in Java. So, and there's my Eclipse. And I started out with some sample projects already. They're on the bottom. You can see these little troubleshooting screens going on. This is where the output's going to show. I've closed some of the, browser windows and stuff. It looks like it's, looking for data for Android and stuff. Well, I've already run through the install, so I'm kind of already partly there. But I like Eclipse. If you haven't used it before, I like Eclipse because it's kind of interesting when you go new, and you can go, Java project, and the Java project, if you select it, it's going to run through a little menu to collect it, to create a project of the Java type. Which is kind of interesting. So once you install Eclipse and you have it out there, then you click on the icon that's over here that's running, and you say keep in launcher. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to actually find it. Find it on the desktop by using maybe the home folder and searching for it, and then you can drag it as well. So if you go over here and go search and go Eclipse, oh, here we go. I've got a bunch of clip stuff here, but it's going to be the hardest way of finding it, I think. Looks like I've installed it a couple times. Don't know it. I'm just going to leave this stuff here. Actually, these are going to be core Eclipse packages. So, if I go into the file system and go into applications, I could find it here. If I found it out here, which I probably could if I looked for it long enough, I could drag it over and put it here. But the easiest way of doing it is just to run it. The first time it runs, have it, select that option to keep it in the dock, and then you don't have to find it again next time you want to run it. So let's go back then to the instructions. And so now we've installed Eclipse, and we've made sure it runs. We've opened up the dash home. We searched for Eclipse. We dragged the icon to sidebar to add it to the menu. Let me change this again here. Or right click on icon once it's run to keep in launcher. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to install. Let me make sure I save this as well. Now we are going to install the Android packages. This is the fun part. So this is actually kind of easy as well. To install the Android packages in Eclipse, we're going to go to the Help menu, and we're going to go to Install New Software, and then we're going to click on the Add, and we're going to put this in the URL field, and then we're going to click Add button, and then we're going to install the developer tools. So I'm going to put this on the top so I can kind of see it while I am in my window here. Means I've got to move the window down this way because this is the part I want to see actually right there. This is the URL up here that I'm going to need to use in here. So let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. And so now I'm gonna click on my Eclipse, which I probably should have just left open, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter if you've got the Indigo version or if you got Helio. I think Indigo is actually the most current one. Helio will work. Any version of Eclipse will work for this, actually. So if you already have Eclipse on there, perhaps. I did not have it on by default, and I just did a basic install. This is a fresh install, not modified very much. I also have a few extra launch panel things. So if I go into the Help menu, which is over here, click on Help, and if I go into Install New Software, which is what I want to do, and I should be presented with another menu very soon. Because Eclipse just started up, it's actually looking for all of my installed stuff. Okay, this here says work with. This is where you're going to type in the HTTP : DL. Oops, if I spelled that right. DL-SSL-Google. This is googleandroid.com. Terrible typer today. Android Eclipse. And this is where you want to click on Add and give it a name. I'm going to call it Eclipse. And then I'm going to say OK. And this will hopefully add the repository in. And here's the interesting thing is on my particular screen, I don't know if it's because maybe my screen resolution, but the window in the middle here is supposed to show me the repositories. And it's really not showing me anything at all. And this is kind of typical, you know, of screen resolutions. I made this really big, and because I'm working on the 800 by 600 kind of resolution on this computer. It's not going to show me, but in this little window would be the repositories. I didn't get an error message. I didn't get anything going on at all. But rather than kind of trying to see it, instead I'm just going to select all. And there's 4 items selected, and you're wondering, where do those 4 items come from? Well, believe it or not, they're in this window you can't see because of my screen resolution. So you might actually see items show up in this itsy-bitsy little frame that's missing on my screen right now that shows me what's in this repository here that I've just added. But anyway, I selected all, and I got 4 items selected, although I can't see them. But I'm going to see them in a few minutes when I try to. Let's go back here for a second. I need to make this a little smaller because I can't see anything. Let's see. There we go. Now on the bottom of the screen, that's why I need to make it a little bit smaller, I see Next, so I'm going to click on Next. And it's going to essentially look and calculate requirements, dependencies on the bottom of the screen. I've got some activity going on. It's going to show me a menu here, and I've actually got the stuff installed already. So the operation cannot be completed. See the details. Let's see, why can't it be completed? Probably because it's already installed. It is. Can't complete the request. See errors. Let's see. Let me just take a quick look here to see what kind of error messages. I believe the error is going to be due to the fact that it's already installed. If I unclick it, no. Take a look at the error. I believe that the problem is here we go. Android DMS will be ignored because it's already installed. Android development. And what I'm doing is, although my box, again, my box here doesn't, it's not showing me the whole screen because it's kind of compressed a little bit. But I'm scrolling here on the bottom, and it says Android development tools will be ignored because it's already installed. Android hierarchical viewer is ignored because it's already installed. Going to be. I've already installed it, which is why it's not going to install for you. But you're gonna click on select all. Then you're gonna click on next, and then your tools are going to be installed. And then it'll take a few minutes. In fact, maybe it's a good idea that I didn't install this because I mean it's going to take about maybe a half hour. 20 minutes to a half hour for all this stuff to install, but you want to select it all and you want to click on your next. Mine's not going to work because I've already got it installed and I don't want to remove it, so I'm just going to press cancel and I'm going to come back to this screen. Eventually you're going to come back to this screen as well. You might get one message that's going to say something about the AVD or something, or the daemon that's running in the background. Go ahead and select OK to have that one reset. Basically, it's just going to restart Android daemon in the background that starts during the install. So once you're finished installing that stuff, we still have to add packages. So once you get done, you're going to be, after you click on OK, after everything gets installed, you're going to be taken back to this window. And what you're going to do with this window at this point, again, is to go to the Window menu, and now you're going to see some new items that showed up. You're going to see the Android Sdk Manager, the AVD Manager, and you're going to see Preferences. And in the Preferences, that's where you can kind of click on Android, and I selected the default directory, SDK location. And this is home bhackerandroid.sdks, which is going to be storing all the Android SDK information. And during the install, I selected the option, you can just select the 4.0. I also selected 2.1 just kind of as a test to see if it would install. And I want to install everything else now. So I've only installed the one current package. I don't have very much going on in terms of this install. So what I'm going to do is go to the Sdk Manager and install some of the older ones. So I'm going to go to the window and I'm going to go to the Android Sdk Manager. And it's going to bring up this screen here. And so when I added Android to Eclipse, it gave me the default install for the tool. So you can see over in the status it says installed. I'm going to do something though. I'm going to basically, just to be sure, I'm going to click on everything. And I want to install everything. I want all of these old packages too. So I'm just going to go through, and this is going to be a little bit time consuming for the download. I'm going to install the extras as well. And so everything over here says not installed is going to be installed when I'm done. And I'm installing 38 items. So I'm going to click on this install button here. And it's going to ask me, and this is the same thing you may actually see with the other install. And just for clarity, the first item that we did in the help menu, we installed the Android toolset. And that installed the basics that we needed to make Android work, the Android API work with Eclipse. Now what we're doing is we've gone into the Android SDK Manager and I'm installing all of the older APIs. Just because, you know, when you're on the internet, you see an Android project and it was written in 3.2, not 4.0. You need the AVD created for that particular 3.2. And when I say AVD, I'm talking about Android Virtual Device, but you need the API loaded in order to create the virtual device. So it's kind of a catch-22. If you want to use if you want to be backward compatible and you want to be supportive of examples and things all the way back to the beginning, it's best to install these old packages, essentially. So I'm going to accept all over here, and you might end up with the same kind of interface in the first step that you did as well. And you might notice on the bottom of the screen here is where my status indicator is going to be. And make this a little bigger so you can see it. What I'm looking at is this bottom of this window. It says downloading documentation. It should start, the bar should start filling in. And this is going to take in the neighborhood of, you can see the static is 7% now. I've got kind of a slow connection right now. This is going to take in the neighborhood of maybe about an hour for me. And I'm not going to let the video run for an hour. So instead what I'm going to do is pause the video and come back. I'm waiting to see if this thing is actually going to start. Yeah, here it is. I can see a little color coming in. So you can see how slow this is running right now. And also, I've got a lot of stuff going on in the background on my computer as well right now. So, long story short, let me pause the video. I'm going to come back when this bar is completely filled, probably about an hour later, hour and a half or so later. So go ahead and get your install to this point. Download all if you want to. If you don't want to, skip this step and then just start in after I repause or resume from the pause. So I'm going to go up here and I am going to pause my capture. Okay, I'm back and you can see that my download is still working here. I've decided to break this up actually into two separate videos just so I don't lose this first part. So I'm going to end this and call this part 1. In part 2 of this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you, because I want to demonstrate to you how the API works in the Eclipse window. Because after this step, after we've installed the Sdk Manager, we're going to create, in the next video, we're going to create some virtual devices, some emulators for the different versions, and we're going to test the emulators out. And you're going to actually see that the emulator runs faster on Linux than it does, believe it or not, on the Mac, and a lot faster on the Windows system than compared to the Windows system, I should say. So the install here is going to take a while. So I'm going to end this video, And stay tuned for part 2 of the Linux install.